guys, welcome back to the Yute Room Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about building healthy relationships. My name's Cole.
And my name's JJ.
I'm Zeke.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Randall J.
And today we have really a special guy. He already introduced himself as Randall, but he is an amazing poet in Ontario's first poet, laureate, if I'm correct, right? Mm-hmm. And before we start things off, we're gonna have him present one of his own pieces live right here on this podcast. So, Randall, whenever you're ready, please take it away.
I wrote this poem kind of as a reminder, just in terms of healing. Everybody goes through adversity in our life, and adversity does not discriminate. Doesn't matter who you are, but just to remind people, don't let your traumas define you. So it's a little bit of my journey and how I got to, the healing that I'm at right now. There's a war going on inside no one is safe from. It won't matter if you're 3 feet or 8'1". We all battle ourselves to be a great one. Since day one, I've had my battles dealing with abandonment. As a child, I navigated the world feeling like I was lacking in. It started when I was 8 years old, working for my parents' approval. Me, firstborn Canadian, my father's typical Ghanaian bravado, the usual. He had unrealistic expectations of me. At times, it diminished my sense of self-worth. It cut me deep like knife with his words. It hurt. To feel like nothing I did made me feel like who I was good enough. As a juvenile, I was far from the usual. The battered and broken pieces of me were searching for home in places I often felt alone, so I tried to make them happy with my smarts and my grades, but they wanted that 2% when I got a 98. It just wasn't enough. At times, I felt like I wasn't enough. Thirsty for a love I couldn't find from my own blood, questioning what family really was without a true, complete concept of us. My abandonment stemmed from the absence of my parents between the ages of 1 and 6, a nomad trying to find where I fit. Growing up, not knowing who they were had me constantly questioning my sense of self-worth, so I started picking fights at school just to quell my rage, but then they sentenced me to the margins when we weren't on the same page. But that was another chapter. When I was stuck between the lines, they threw the book at me and called the pastor. With no revelation, they said I was destined for the rapture, but little did they know what would come after. A revelation of my testament. I discovered poetry and it became my exodus. Was baptized in the river lines of a poetic genesis. The gift of a pen and paper was heaven sent. I began writing my pain on pages, sharing my vulnerability on stages, because as a child, I knew what it felt like to feel unheard. Discovered my truth through the gift of spoken word, made a gift from a curse, founded Rise so others can learn the power of self-expression while using it to serve. I'm thankful for the journey I observed, how I transformed my trauma and began healing from hurt. The childhood traumas we went through do not have to define who we become. In fact, I'm so grateful for my dad and my mom, especially my dad. As an adult, I now know that my parents really did the best they could with what they had. In fact, they are now like my best friends. Healing my inner child helped them make amends. Building on that foundation, I realized I had some stories that needed reconstruction. They were a blueprint to help me elevate and function. I had to break it down to rebuild, learn new skills. I leveled up to higher heights, and it gave me a new lease on life. I discovered that the foundation we had at home does not have to become our ceiling. We don't have to throw our walls up behind the window pane due to a lack of healing. Every time we hit rock bottom, it's groundbreaking. What we can gain from the power of perseverance and patience. We all have an inner child that needs healing. As adolescents, there's some stories we tell ourselves that can be deceiving. These stories form the perception we base a life upon. Without releasing the pain, they stay with us for a lifelong, a cycle of trauma bonds until we peel back the truth. That life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Sit down and talk to your inner child. Sit still and listen. Know that you can handle all the pain that you were given. Don't let the pain define you. Let it design you. Let it remind you of the generational traumas left to reveal. Look behind you, look inside you, and give that inner child permission to heal. Thank you. Powerful. Woo. It's such a vulnerable poem. It's such a vulnerable poem. So it takes me places sometimes, Takes me
I felt that one.
Yeah.
Appreciate for sharing that for the audience.
Thank you.
That was very heartwarming.
Bro, honestly.
Today we'll hop into what's our icebreaker. I'm gonna go around the room. We're gonna go around the room. How did you take care of your mental health this week? So with this week, I feel like I went outside a lot. I was in nature, just touching nature, grounding myself. And yeah, that's what I did, just to reconnect and just neutralize and just start up again. What about you, JJ?
For me, I think this week, at the start of the week, I put all of my tasks that I had to do on a reminders list. and I did one each day, or I did two one day, and I kept going, and that's how I kind of stayed less stressful, and I kind of got all my stuff done I needed to do this week.
Yeah, that's
Fire,
good.
fire.
I did something similar. I pretty much set like a time on the day. So let's just say 4 to 5 p.m. I just knock out a certain task. 12 to 2, I'm doing something else, right? So just so my day is structured, and it's just been helping me a lot this week to just find time to relax and just not stress over things, right?
Me earlier in the week, I traveled. Actually, went to Ottawa, just to see some family. It's always good to just drive out the city, and see some family, and then enjoy the open road, Nice, but yeah.
Absolutely. For me, just playing a lot of basketball, just cooking guys, getting my energy out that way. I love to shoot, so I've been working on my shot a lot this week, and yesterday got to play and, execute. So it felt good, felt really good.
It's lovely to hear everyone's taking care of their mental health. It's important. So our first discussion point we're going to be hopping into is highlighting the difference of kinds of relationships one can have. So, so like, what do you guys think the different relationships one can have? It could be like platonic, it could be family, or friendship, girlfriend and boyfriend, and so on and so on and so forth.
Yeah, honestly, there's a variety of relationships you can all have, and as you can see, like, just us sitting in the room, we're all connected in different ways, right? We can all relate to each other in different ways, and it's necessary to have those, different kind of relationships in your life. Imagine we all related to everybody in the exact same way, right? Life would lose its depth. It would lose its color, right? And more specifically today, like really jumping into the idea of having a network surrounding, you, and how do you build that? Right. So in light of having different kinds of relationships, I guess I'll pose a question to you first, Randall. How do you network? And what is networking? If you were to explain it to like our youth audience, how would you just simplify networking, and why do you do it?
Networking, it depends on where you are. But one thing I've noticed about networking, often you're at an event, you're at something where, other people are gathering ultimately. And in those spaces, there might be people who might have a value that may benefit you. What I don't like is when you go to somebody and initially people come to me and tell me what they want from me, but they haven't actually taken the time to talk to me.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is networking should be reciprocal, whereas I can offer you value and you can offer me value. So what I often do is I go into a room and I listen, because people love to talk about themselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I ask questions about individuals so that they can really open up, talk a little bit more about them. Then when I start talking a little bit about what I'm interested in, then they're likely to listen to me too. It's like, see first to understand, then you'll be understood. So in a nutshell, when it comes to networking, if you're looking for something, whether it's a mentor, an opportunity, the best thing you can do is understand the person, listen to them, and then you can pose what it is that you're looking for. But networking is not different from having a conversation.
Yeah.
People are human. They might have a title, they might have $1 million that you might want access to, but you want to remember at the end of the day, they eat, sleep, and do the same things you do throughout the day, and you want to see them as a human being first before you see the value that you want from them. So I think it's just important to really understand people.
I know you mentioned networking at events. Has there been an opportunity where you've networked online, and has it kind of worked in the same sense as being in person and not having that kind of one-on-one conversation?
That's a really good question. And throughout the pandemic, a lot of networking was like, Zoom calls, Google Meets. So I did a lot of that. And I think that's really where I learned to hone in those skills of like listening. And also like, even though you're virtual, you can kind of use facial expressions to like let people know how you feel or what you're gathering from. But it's not too different. I think it's actually easier for more people in the virtual world because we use our devices so much more often. But I think in that same sense is, just being locked in, try not to be distracted by other things, because it can show somebody that maybe you're not as interested in what you're talking about. But yeah, I think virtual networking is also really important, because you might not be able to go to Singapore, but you can get on a call with somebody in Singapore and get that value from them, So you don't want to, I'm glad you asked it, because you don't want to see it as just something that's local or centralized, because it's something that could be global because of the way the world is right now. It's a really good question, actually. Yeah.
No, that's honestly like a great answer as well, because like we live in a world right now, even though we're all connected through social media, we have a lot of people who are just staying towards them, like keeping to themselves, I should say, right? And it's hard to connect, right? So when it comes to like networking, I would say, what purpose do you think there is in building relationships? Like, is it just solely for life? Especially, let's talk about work, for instance, and the position that you're in now. I'm assuming that you had to build relationships to get there, right? Both professional and non-professional, I'm assuming, right? And I know we all probably had to do the same thing growing up. So what is the purpose? Like, do you think there's a need to do that, right?
I think there's definitely a need because we're human, and as humans, even though you can be someone who's introspective or introverted, there's something really powerful about having those people that like are important to you when you need someone. No one person's an island. You know, where I'm here because of like I parked and took the TTC, the guy who drove the subway to get me here. Like there's so many things that happen. Like we're all interconnected and interdependent of one another. So I think when it comes to building a network, you got to know what it is you need. Firstly, you know, I don't think you want to go into the world and just like meet people, connect with people, and just kind of put them in a box. Like you want to be able to understand like where you are. Are you looking for like a good friendship, and what does that friendship look like? I think being clear about what you're looking for in a friendship, in a relationship, whether it's platonic, it's romantic, you got to be clear about what you're looking for and why. Because if you know why you're looking for it, then you might be more confident to talk to somebody because now you're not like behind a mask. You know what I'm saying? You're moving with an authentic nature in terms of what it is that you're looking for, and you can be real with somebody. You should tell people up front, like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm up to. I'd love to learn about you, just so you know this is what I'm hoping to get out of it. Boom. Then the cards are on the table, right? And there's no like, you know that what I don't like is like the small talk. I don't like small talk. I don't know. It's weird for me. You know what I'm saying? It's weird to me. Just get to it, man. Just get to the point. Like if you want something, get to the point. So I think it's important to really understand where you are. But also I think the pandemic taught us the importance of relationships. Because for me, a lot of people who I thought my friends actually just wanted something from me. And so I had to be really clear about who do I want around me. Like if you don't bring joy when I see your number calling me, I have to really question, are you a friend? Because I realized throughout the pandemic, I had a lot of colleagues and I had a lot of acquaintances, but very few friends, you know? So in those networking situations and in relationships, clarity is important, like being very clear about what you're looking for.
Not to put Alex on the spot here, but being in the working within the community and working with kids and youth, how important is relationships and networking for you in that sense?
Well, in terms of like relationships with youth, I would say if that's where we're going, it's everything. Like if you haven't built that relationship, that's where the trust is built. That's where, you know, you build rapport. And if you don't have that with the youth, then you can't help them, right? Because I mean, yeah, you may have all the skills, you may have all the education, but if you can't connect with these youth, or if like the relationship isn't there, then what's the point of you being there, right? So even when I get to work, when I'm first at work, and like let's say I'm new at the organization, the first thing I do is get to know the youth. Like it's so much to a point where it's like these youth sometimes don't even know what I do. It's like, oh, you're just here, but it's like once that rapport is built, then you know you bring in your expertise, you bring in like what you've learned in school, and you actually like do what you were like hired for, right? But you know, building that relationship, it's everything, right? I don't know what more to say, but in terms of like the networking as well with like other organizations, I would also say that's very important because you know, working with other community partners, you can only benefit from that. You know, because there's something that I can do that Z can do, and there's something that Z can do that I can do, right? So that networking, that building that relationship, it makes it easier, right? And if the goal is, like, I like how you mentioned, like, what is your why, right? If our why is to help the community, then, you know, then there's no issue here of building that connection. Whereas, like, if we want to help the community, then your expertise and my expertise, we can put it together and, like, you know, do that, something beautiful happens. But yeah, I don't know if that answered.
That was a great answer. More than enough.
That was good. I like that.
So, do you going off that? Do you think Black youth of today, being defined as those between the age of 16 and 30, prioritize networking, or do you think it's here and there and it's not that big of a deal? And like, if you're only a creative and like only feel like you're in a certain field, I need a network.
I mean, I think I'm the youngest one at this table right now, so I can probably speak. Growing up in high school, I know they always kind of, not pressured, but kind of pointed us in the direction of using LinkedIn and using the resources we have available to make these connections. It goes over high schoolers' heads. It's not like their first priority. They don't think about it. But I think as I've grown and I've gotten to university and I'm looking for jobs and I'm worried about the future and all that kind of stuff, networking is a big thing. And I honestly, it's not spoken about enough within school, but it is a very massive thing when it comes for looking for jobs or looking for opportunities out in the community. So yeah.
I want to add to that though, because I feel like something that's really important. Somebody said this to me years ago. It's like your vibe attracts your tribe. So you want to be mindful of like who you're looking to, bring towards you. Like if you're looking to attract successful people, not like success is not linear, right? It looks like many different ways. I think you want to do things that make you feel successful, so that way like you start to bring those people towards you too. And I think high school LinkedIn's a little early, but a little bit still. I mean, I applaud them for seeing that, but I think it's a little bit early. I think the last thing I'd say too is like just really developing a really like a really great online presence too, because virtually people are gonna look you up, and if what they find isn't appealing, then you want to be, especially to the youth, I think you want to be mindful what you put out to the world, because that's forever. Anyways,
Question. So so you said, okay, to follow your instructions. So how do you have the online, perception, a viewpoint? Like what's a good way a youth to show themselves to the world in a positive light?
I think we're all a brand.
Yeah.
And it's hard for all of us to realize that, but your name is your brand, and how you show up in the world is how people are going to view you. So when you think about online, you want to think about, is this something that a potential person who might hire me would be okay with? Is this something that a friend who cares about me would be okay with? Would my parents be okay with? I think you want to think about it, even though it might not be content specifically for them. You want to be mindful that if they do watch it, that they're not going to have any negative thoughts. And there's consistency about what your message is. But to know your brand, you got to know your message. And, when you're 16, 17, you're not really thinking about that. And that's okay. But at the same time, if you're putting up videos that are negative, and probably not the most conducive, then you have to be mindful of that. And my thing is just don't put it up, you know what I mean? Or put it up to like your close friends or people that only few people can see. But you got to build your brand. And building your brand is knowing who you are, and it's understanding your audience. It's understanding where you want to go in life. But, at 16, 17, 18, I know a lot of people are still trying to figure it out, but I would also just look to the people I respect, like look online at people I look up to, and what are they doing? And are there elements of what they're doing that I can emulate and add on to my page, add on to my site, whatever, whatever your online presence looks like.
Yeah. And then to that point, I think it's important to start that at a younger age, because you never know where you're going to go in the future. And I've seen oftentimes these celebrities or even politicians or anyone in like a place of power get caught up with something they did when they were 16 and it just everything just tanked. So I think starting young, building your brand, having your brand as your name is a very important thing.
Absolutely. And honestly, like back to the question that you asked, I wish they explained it, as clearly as you guys did today. Because networking is quite simple, as you really said it, knowing your why and being clear of what you want and, what you can offer as well, right? And one thing I do wish is that they also emphasize the need for us to network with our peers, right? Because when you talked about networking with the youth, for example, that allows you to do your job, right? Networking with your peers allows you to just have that connection 10 years later, right? Oh, you remember when we, for example, played basketball together, right? And now you guys are grown people, and now you guys are doing different things, right? But now you guys can also help each other, right? Especially if you have a common why, right? So it really is important, and it's good knowledge to share, and it's something that can change the ball game for everyone, because seeing yourself as a brand, automatically now you want to work with other brands. You want to find people who think like you. You want to find people who walk like you, talk like you, right? And just so you can rub off on each other, right? And improve yourself. So I think everything that you guys are sharing was just great, honestly speaking. Yeah.
I understand too. Just to add on all you guys' points, because all you guys made such great points. I feel like networking and branding, like you said, it's almost like you're it's not a character, but it's like if you're say it's like this is a friend you want to meet, so it's like how would you want to be that type of friend to someone else? So say you're a positive person, so it's like okay, that one attribute positivity, I want to be positive, and say I want to be like Nike. What does Nike resemble? Motivation, storytelling. Let me add that to the brand. Let me add this to so on and so forth. So I feel like you guys made such great points, and I feel like a tribe mindset. So if you find one community, like if you're a soccer player, you're gonna want to find other soccer players. If you play basketball, you're gonna find other basketball players, and so forth and so forth. So this leads into my another question: is how do I carry myself in a professional relationship, and how do I maintain them? Does my appearance and demeanor matter?
100%.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Can't get around it,
definitely matters what your appearance. You don't want to. I don't even know how to put this, but you don't want to look unappealing.
Yeah, you don't want to get
as bad as it sounds, like you want to look presentable everywhere you go, because you never know when an opportunity is going to present yourself. You never know who you're going to walk by passing on the street. So you're always going to have an appearance that's presentable, professional, looks clean and cut.
Even approachable too.
Yeah.
Approachable.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say where it's like, I mean, we live in a world, especially in like the professional setting, where like, although people say, oh, don't judge a book by its cover, it's oftentimes that's what happens, right? Where it's like just by the way you look or by the way you're dressing, it's like, oh, I've already written you off, right?
Yeah.
So as much as it is unfair, you also have to keep in mind that sometimes it is the truth. So it's very important to look presentable. Like my mom always says, like, even if you're going to the grocery store, like you never know who you're gonna see there, right? I'm not saying wear a suit to food basics, but like, you know, it's like just, you know, look good, right? Because you never know, like JD was saying, you never know who you're gonna see when you go outside, right? So
Never.
yeah, your appearance is very important.
And then like from like a professional standpoint, I know it's kind of improved over the years, but us 5 being black males and being in that professional, we're immediately gonna get judged. We're already gonna be looked at like we may not have the qualifications or we may not be better than this person at doing such and such. So I think for us and the viewers listening, having that appearance is putting your best foot forward will provide you the best opportunity.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny because it's like twofold too, right? Like I remember wearing a suit and taking the bus, and man, people just like, they're like, open the door for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they treat me different. I'm like, yo, like, fam, I wasn't wearing a suit yesterday, man. Close the door. Like, not saying that's what happened.
But
he didn't know. Nobody opened the door. So it's interesting. So one day when I'm wearing a suit, I also walk with a sense of confidence. You know what I mean? So I just kept the confidence, but I left the suit. And the confidence still helped. Like people still do a double take, but I think it's also like the confidence that you have in yourself. You know what I mean? Right. And also how you show up in the world, not what you're wearing. I hate that the world sees you by what you're wearing first. I don't like that because it's like judging a book by its cover, literally, you know? But at the same time, walking with a sense of confidence, like a sense of self-esteem is also really important. Like walking with your chest up. Like if you're walking like this, that's one thing. But that's why to James' part, it's like, yo, like you also want to be approachable. Like it's okay that someone can come up to if they have a question or they, you know, they want to ask you for the directions or something, you know? So but yeah, like shout out to suits, but confidence too.
I hear that. And that kind of ties into the part of the demeanor and your behavior, right? And how that really affects your approachability. And I guess, if you look, the word that you used was, if I'm correct, I'm drawing a blank here. You said if you look enticing, not enticing, what?
Approachable?
Not approachable, desirable, if I'm correct.
Desirable?
Yeah, desirable.
Oh, okay,
Yes. So how would you advise someone to carry themselves, let's say behavior-wise? You talked about confidence and having self-esteem, but what are some practical things that people or youth can do?
A smile goes a long way, bro. A smile is universal. You can smile here, you can smile in Mozambique. A smile means the same thing, you know what I mean? So I think a smile is really important. Like your body language is also really important. I kind of feel like every time you walk out of your house, you're performing. And you're performing because the audience is everybody you get to walk in front of, and they're gonna judge you based on what they see on your stage ultimately. So I think, you know, you want to be confident in yourself. You want to have a certain sense of self-esteem, and a smile, like I mentioned, And I think just moving with a sense of like lightness. You know what I mean? I can feel people's energy when it's heavy, and I'm going that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm over there, but you want to move with a sense of lightness, and not to say what you're feeling inside, even if you're not like having a good day, that you leave it at home and then you wear a mask outside. Carry that with you, but you don't have to show that to other people. You know, you can carry that recognizing I'm going through something, but I don't have to project that onto other people or project that onto the world. And I guess the final thing is just the awareness. Like also, you know, if I'm walking down the street and I can hold the door for somebody, if I can be kind or courteous or considerate, just being considerate. Like I think being considerate is really important. You know, so yeah, like I think those go a long way in my opinion. There's others, but I think those are that's a good start.
Yeah, no, I'm super heavy on the smile part, because it's like, just even in your everyday, like I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys, but let's say you're walking down the street, you see someone else, and just because of like the way you look and you're not smiling, you can see the fears all over their body, right? But the minute you smile, everything's gone. I'm
exactly.
What? That shouldn't be the case, but you know, it's just important to smile. Like I really like what you said on that one. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can tell you like to smile.
Yeah, bro.
Smiley guy, man. I can tell.
Often the first question you hear is any kind of interview is, tell me about yourself. How does one introduce themselves in a professional setting or any setting in general, as a matter of fact?
That's a good question. So
the first thing you just want to listen to the question. I listen to a lot of interviews where people aren't listening to the question. So, you know, you definitely want to listen clearly to the question. But I think when you're introducing yourself, there's like a thin line between being humble and then being arrogant. And, you know, I think it's like going back to what I said, it's just like this confidence and like being humble, being confident and just grounded, like being grounded in who you are, speaking your truth, being authentic. Like the most important thing is to be authentic, you know? Far too often people want you to see them for who they want you to see them as, but not who they really are. So I think it's just important to be authentic, and also speaking to people, not at them, I think is also really important, especially when in an interview, so that, you know, it's a dialogue. I think that's like introducing yourself, talking a little bit about who you are, being candid. Those are things I think are really, really key.
Talk about authenticity. For those who are trying to get a job but are worried their current self wouldn't, like their own personality wouldn't get them that job, do you have any tips on how they can kind of navigate those waters?
One thing I'll say is if you don't think your personality is gonna get you a job, then you have to ask yourself, is who you are more important, or is the job more important? Because I don't want to be working somewhere where I can't be myself. If I can't be myself, I don't want to be there. I don't care if you're paying me $150,000 a year. I want the money, but I'm not gonna sell my soul for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things is being authentic is recognizing that there's an author named Ritu Basin who has a book called Authenticity Principle. It talks about being authentic as like your true self. Then you have your performative self as far as who you think you should be in certain rooms, and that changes depending on who's around. And then you have your adaptive self, which is like a blend between being authentic and being performative. So I think for those jobs, come in as yourself, you know? Take a moment, whatever nerves you might feel, you just want to take a moment before you get into an interview, not just to mentally prepare, but physically prepare, emotionally prepare, spiritually prepare. So when you go in the room, you can feel grounded. Like the sense of groundedness, I think, is really important. And answer the questions as candid as you can. Listen to the answer, or listen to the question and answer from there. And like, I guess just kind of going back to the original part as far as like being authentic. Like being authentic is just being true to yourself. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think you just want to be true to yourself, man. Like that's just it. Like, I don't want you to like me for who you think I am, and then you find out who I am and you don't like me. I don't want that. You know what I mean?
No, that's true. Yeah. So like, how would that sound? Like, let's just say someone is nervous about their first interview, right? They're just getting their first job and they're asked that question. So what's something, not to say like a cut and paste thing they can use, but like how would you start it off? Someone asked you, oh, tell me about yourself. Where would you go from there?
I think the first thing I would do is either start with a story, or when I do introduce myself, I often introduce like characteristics about myself. I'll start with like, this is my character, or 3 words that best describe me. I like to tell a story, a little bit of a story. Like I like giving people context, you know what I mean? Like context I find to be really important, so that it allows you to kind of be able to be just straight to the point. So, hey, this is the context. All right, let's dive right in. It's been a while since I've been in an interview. I won't lie, like a job interview specifically. And you can also like, I think before you get in the room, a lot of work has to be done before you get in the room. Because the work that you want to do before you get in the room is just like easing your nerves. So if it's deep breathing, for example, if it's going over in your head things that you want to say to them, or things that you're comfortable sharing with them about who you are to introduce yourself, or things that you don't want to talk, just really taking the time to be with yourself. So when you are in the room, you can like just be. But I think, a lot of the work happens before you get in the room. But once you do get in the room, your body language, going back to what I said earlier, just your body language, you want to sit up straight. You want to look person in the eye. You want to be clear, and I think eye contact is really important. And that's that idea of talking to someone and not at them. And don't be afraid, like sometimes to like, I know it's a job interview, but sometimes like I'll throw a question to who's interviewing me too, just to kind of see if I can if I can just break the ice a little bit, or if you have jokes in your pocket, pull out a joke and just kind of just ease attention a little bit. Because I find a lot of times when people are nervous in an interview is because you want the job so bad, or the opportunity so bad that you're just afraid not to get it by doing something wrong, and you don't want to carry the energy with you in a room. Like if you get it, you get it. And I think that's my mindset. Like if this is destined for me, if God said, yo, this is the opportunity, I'm taking it. If it's not, then it's not. Like I'm okay with that. I've learned what's for me is for me. And I try not to go in the room with like begging energy. You know what I'm saying? You want me, I'm here. If not, I'm over there.
All good.
It's all good. You know what I'm saying?
And with that being said, I know that you work with Rise Edutainment and like a bunch of other people. So I guess what's like a piece of advice I guess you can give to someone who is like new to reaching out to people in that manner, right? Because that's not like a friendly, I bet it didn't start off as a friendly relationship, or maybe it did, right? But as it did progress, it turned into something much bigger, right? And something that does need much care, right? And cautiousness as you move here and you move there. So what kind of advice you can give to someone who is just starting off networking, and how did you grow and rise, throughout that whole process?
It took a lot of networking. It's a lot of talking to people, and sharing your vision. So I came up with an elevator pitch because I realized like the story of how I got to starting an organization took 20 years to start, or my whole life at that point. And so coming up with an elevator pitch was really important, and just sharing like key things that were really, really necessary for the person, so that it can either keep the conversation going, or if they had follow-up questions, then cool. But like when I was starting Rise, one of the biggest things is like I just wanted to understand my community. Like when you're doing community work, you want to really understand, like going back to what you said with youth, like you want to understand who they are. You want to understand where they are, and you want to meet youth where they are. So when I was doing a lot of networking with youth specifically, like I just asked questions. But when it came to like the funders and sponsors, I tried to understand what they were trying to accomplish, so then I can see how what I'm doing aligns with what they're trying to do. Because anything in business and partnership is more so about people's values and interests and needs, and how you can allow those two things to blend in together. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a very, very key thing. And when I was starting Rise, then I had to do like the networking in terms of finding my team. And I think, finding my team was something where I had to just really pause about like knowing what you're really good at doing and knowing what you might need support with. Sometimes it helps to learn to do, especially like as a founder, like I learned to do everything. And then I was like clear about, okay, I want this type of person to help with programming. I want this person to help with events, this person with social media. And that's what really helped me, just kind of getting things, like just getting into it really like. And I was just kind. I'm a kind person. I like being kind. I think it's important. I think it goes a long way. And my kindness, brought the right people to me, man. And I did a lot of work, self-work. What you do behind the scenes is really important. Like doing the self-work is key, like so key. Because I definitely attracted a lot of the right people in my circle, man.
Honestly, and that was a great answer. You showed a lot of humility and wisdom as well. And I know the time is far spent and you do have to go. But I know you brought some books here with you, and
Yes, sir.
I bet you want to let the viewers know what we're going to be reading this week.
Absolutely. Well, this is a copy of my book called I'm Not My Struggles. And I brought this book. I wrote this book because I wanted to remind people, especially like the title, I'm Not My Struggles. I think so often like we go through stuff in our life and we think those things define us. And you don't have to let it define you. You know, because I got in trouble as a kid doesn't mean I'm a troublemaker. And so it's an anthology of different poems that I wrote. I work with this incredible illustrator named Alexis Ike, who put these together. And Komi Olaf drew this created this painting of me, and I wanted to use it as a cover. But it's just an inspirational book to teach people to never allow your struggles to define you, to find the wisdom. Like, I don't think bad things happen to people, good people, for no reason. They happen to you so you can learn something from it, to become a better person, you know? And it's just having that like mental fortitude of knowing that like when you're in the storm, this too shall pass, you know? And that's why I wrote this book, to kind of inspire. So I brought 3 copies, you know, to kind of disperse and share. I hope you guys are inspired by it. And if you're at home listening and you want to get a copy, you can go to my website, randallaj.com, for a copy, and I'm happy to get you a signed copy as well.
And honestly, we'll be sure to put the link down in the description so our viewers can reach and access the book as well. And before you go, we do want to thank you for like sharing all that wisdom and all that knowledge with us. It's more than what money can buy, I can honestly say. And we just all want to collectively say thank you, and we do appreciate your time here.
Just before you go, let the people know where they can find you if they want to reach out, have any questions, want to talk with you, anything.
Yeah, I love helping people. I love supporting people. It's my purpose, my life's mission. If you want to find me, literally on my website, randallaj.com. On Instagram, if you DM me, it might take me a few months. I'm not very good. So the best thing you can do is go on my website, go to contact, and it goes to my email, which is info@randallaj.com. And I'm happy to chat with anyone, chop it up with anyone, man. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So, next question. Does work ethic open doors for potential opportunities? If so, please explain.
I want to say yes, it does. And because I don't know, work ethic is everything, especially like when you're working in the workspace, when you're working for stuff and you're actually not getting paid, like it's a volunteering thing. It's something that I try and tell like the youth that I have, because their mindset right now, which isn't bad, where it's like, hey, can you come and help at this event? And they're asking, are we getting honorarium? Are we getting some type of money, right? And if it's no, they don't come, right? But the thing is, like, for the people that do come, that's where the network happens, and that's where people remember you, right? Where it's like, let's say I have a job opening, and I say, oh, I remember this guy. He came, you know, and he worked so hard, then I remember you, right? So I do feel like work ethic, especially when you're not getting anything per se in return, like immediately, I think that's extremely important.
And that's true, because especially like your work ethic carries into everything you do, right? Even when you're not working per se, right? 9 times out of 10, you're the same person. You know, when you're at home doing your homework, you're the same person. When you're doing your assignments, when you're outside doing your errands, right? And that probably helps you be a better person and more effective and efficient in your life as well.
Yeah, I want to say, like, even when you get the position, you get the job, you work hard to get the job. Don't just stop there.
Yeah,
because there's always room to move up in the ladder. So like, as long as like your boss is seeing that he's working hard, he's doing what he needs to do, he's putting in the extra work, you're gonna move up. It's gonna be beneficial for you in the future.
Yeah. So like, and people remember work ethic. Like, even if we bring it to like the sports like field of things, where it's like, you might not be good at basketball if you're working hard. I'd rather have you on my team than someone that's good and just like nonchalant, like I'll do when I can, right? You just always want that like the worker on your squad, right? So people remember that. So,
it goes back to building your brand, right? You know, like go hard every day, and like people remember you for that, especially like showing up, for example, right? You talked about volunteering. Lots of opportunities opened up for me through volunteering, right? I can honestly say, it feels like you're slaving for free, but nothing in this life is actually free, right? Even your free time, you may not get paid in money, but you may get paid in experience, you may get paid in networking, as you said, building that connection, or just you never know, right place at the right time, right? So just avail yourself still.
Just to add on a point, what's the sports analogy? Look at John Morant. You said that last podcast, but it's like John Morant, I think the story was he was at a popular camp, but he didn't get selected, so he's at the gym and he's just putting up shots and he's going hard, hard, and the next thing you know, Well, look, a scout or a scout comes in or coach says, "Hey, you need to be in the other gym." Puts him in the other gym. Now look where he is in the NBA.
True.
Exactly.
Crazy, right?
Man was on no one's radar. Worked hard, performed well in the NCAA championship. Went, what was it, top 3
Yeah.
from a D2 school. So I mean,
Exactly.
Anything's possible, guys. We just put our mind to it and just keep working hard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So next question, or if anyone want to keep going, or can we go?
We can move.
So our next question we have here is, how has your social network helped you in progressing in your career? I feel like you start because you said by just volunteering has helped you. So can you expand on that?
Oh, for sure. Just in general, from high school, I started volunteering in different places. Let's just say health clinics, physiotherapy clinics, and stuff like that. And at first, I felt like I was wasting my time. Some of my friends would tell me, "You're being dumb, right?
Yeah.
Like you're wasting your time."
Yeah.
But lo and behold, later on, that experience 4 years later helped me get another position, or helped me end up at a chiropractic clinic for a little bit, which that also opened doors for me as well, right? And just this position I'm in now, I started back with Chanel. Shout out to Chanel, back from high school.
Shout out Chanel, bro.
We had a program called FSSP, and we literally just had to stay on the phone and answer surveys, go on Zoom, give our opinions on things, right? Our opinions that we at the time thought wasn't important, right? In sharing. But later on, through that opportunity, I ended up working with three different companies through that opportunity, and it really pushed me to become the person I am today. So I'll definitely advocate that utilize your social network for sure, and just hold on to the idea that nothing you're doing is useless. You know what I mean? There's nothing, there's no such thing, I believe, as a waste of time. There's bad uses of your time for sure, but one way or another, you're getting better at something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Even to add to that, I'll just like for this specific question, or my answer has to do with like how all your relationships are kind of like connected, like business relationships, platonic relationships, because like the way I got my first job in my field was just through someone that I knew, like a family friend, right? So Chelsea, if you watch it, shout out to you. But
Shout out to Chelsea.
yeah, it's literally just we're being friends, like, you know, she's like a big sister to me. And then she's like, "Oh, there's a job opening at so-and-so. So like, would you want it? Like I can get it, like I can hook it up for you." And just through that, you know, just with that network, I got a job from there. And then, but even at that job, when my contract was ending, the executive director from like that organization, he's like, "Wait, no, I know this organization where I work now. I know Jane and Finch. They have an opening. So like, I can line that up for you." And then through that, I got an interview, and then that's where I am today. So like literally, both of my jobs in the social work field was through networking. So like your social network is so important because like it's all connected. You never know, you know, what can happen just by knowing some people. But yeah, so that's for me.
Yeah. Speak about networking, and as it relates to kind of this podcast, obviously this podcast wouldn't have happened with everyone that's kind of involved and all of us here. But a lot of our guests were found through networking.
Exactly.
Right.
Like the podcast would look a lot different without these guests here. It'd just be kind of us sitting there talking. We wouldn't have that professional input or that people in different fields. So network is very important. Yeah.
That's everything, bro.
And honestly, it just like emphasizes the fact that we don't know everything, right? And there's a beauty in that, not knowing everything. That means you have to lean on someone else. That means you have to ask, you know, of something. It doesn't mean you're weak necessarily, but it just means that indeed you have a need, but you can also, you know, find the solution, you know, to that need. Get what you have to get.
Cool. So our next question we have here. So what advice would you give to someone of the youth who may be shy or don't think they have the personality that is necessary to network and find community?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
I need that advice.
Honestly speaking,
What to say, bro?
what to say? I guess I'll start us off. You want to go?
If you I don't want to cut you off.
Nah, it's
Okay,
cool.
cool.
It's
So
jump in.
I can speak from this experience. I feel like this is the question, talking to myself, because I'm a very shy person. And one thing I'd say for the person who's shy is just put your first foot out there, meaning just step through the door, and then first you step through the door and then be confident. After you're confident, you have to just do the homework before. So I feel like that goes into your confidence, because like our guest was saying before, if you prepare for your job interview, you're gonna know what you're setting up for. And then once you're there, just have the confidence to know what you learn and just be yourself and just be the most authentic person. If that's answering all the questions, yeah.
No, that's a really good answer. And you really did say practice does make perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not for like a task you're doing. That also goes with building relationships. Sometimes you're gonna flop. Sometimes you're gonna mess up, right? And me personally, I'm also like a shy person, right? I don't want to say I'm a shy person anymore. I want to say like I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it for sure, right? But yeah, I'm mostly to myself, right? And sometimes you really have to come out of yourself. You have to be intentional about it because it's so easy, like for me to just sit back and not say anything, right?
Yeah.
Some people, that's the opposite. They have to be talking, right? So like everybody has their thing that they have to balance in their life, right? Someone might have to be a little bit more reserved. Someone else might have to push themselves to be a bit more outgoing, right? And that's all okay. And it's necessary, for you to grow as a person. So as Cole was saying, put your first foot out there, and 9 times out of 10, people are nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you might run into that one person who's just gonna cook you.
Ruin your day, bro.
Or someone can, oh my goodness, I had that happen like so many times, right? But now I'm not necessarily scared of it. If it happens, you just shrug it off, you move on, right? That's life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think both of you said it wonderfully. Putting your first foot for just taking that chance and just kind of not overthinking what the outcome will be. So I know for you, last week it was the first time on the podcast.
Yeah.
You were a little nervous, but you wanted to come back, and it's just like, you feel nervous anymore?
No.
It's all about, it's all about taking that first chance, like not trying to like overthinking it. I know it could be scary sometimes, depending on what you are, but like Zeke said, there's nice people in this world.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, like just to kind of copy what you guys said, where it's just sometimes you just have to do it. Like I know that sounds like it's bad advice, but like that's literally what it is, because the fact of the matter is that there's always that one person that's like, we'll be shy, bro. Like I've been shy. Everyone will be shy. Like at one point where it's like, oh my gosh, like is this person really here? And I want to talk to him. I want to network with him, but like my palms are sweaty, bro. Yeah. But you just gotta do it. And it's like, if it fails, like it's a part of the human experience, right? There's sometimes it won't go your way, sometimes it will go your way, but like just if you keep on doing it, it just builds your confidence, right? Through repetition, right? Like as you can see, our guest that was here, you can tell that guy was really good, right? And it just, you can tell he's been doing this for a while, right? And so I think that's just what we have to do, just repetition and just, sing it for the 3rd time, put your first foot out there. But yeah.
So we talked about everything. So we're gonna end off on conflict resolution. So I want a piece from everyone. How do I handle conflict, and how can I improve my conflict resolution skills within like work settings and networking? Because conflict, it's gonna pop up, and I feel like as a professional person, you're gonna have to handle yourself in a business way, and you can't handle yourself like you're on the street.
At least I'll put in my 2 cents. When it comes to conflict resolution, I would say what's most important is to like, I don't know, it's simple, but like take a deep breath and take your time, right? Because like if someone's coming at you at like 10, the worst thing for you to do is also come at 10, right? Because the fire doesn't put out fire, right? So it's very hard though. Sometimes it's very hard, easier said than done, but always look for ways to de-escalate, right? Whether that's, it could be simple as if someone's yelling at you, you respond with a calm tone, slow, like even that, because now that person will think, okay, like why am I yelling?
Yeah,
But if I'm yelling and you're yelling at me, then I'm gonna take it up a notch, and then next thing you know, we're throwing hands, right? So it's a simple things like that in terms of just like de-escalating a situation that go a long way, right? So sometimes body language, tone of voice, all that, adds up into how to how to resolve a conflict.
Especially with tone of voice, you touched on something important there, because sometimes people don't take in how they sound when they're angry or when they're feeling attacked, right? And that can just make the matters worse, right? Especially your body language and everything. And back to networking and knowing your brand and knowing who you are, know what limits that you have, that I'm not gonna go past this point. If someone is doing 10, I'm stopping at 7, right? No matter what. And of course, know what you can take and know what you can't take, right? Because of course, you're a human being, you're a person, right? Like people can't just walk over you. People can't just do anything to you anyhow. Of course, stand up for yourself, right? But of course, you can do that in a respectful manner. And as you are addressing the situation, think about the fact that if you were to look back at this whole situation on video, like 5 years from now, would you still be okay with what you did, right? Because sometimes in the moment, you can think that, oh, this is what I need to do right now. You're not thinking rationally, your heart's beating fast. But in reality, that could have been like the worst decision you could have made, right? So Of course, as Alex was saying, take a deep breath and just cool it for a second and just look at the end goal here. What are you trying to achieve, right? What are you trying to resolve? And yeah, that's my little spiel on that.
Yeah, I think both those points are very important. Like, obviously, two yelling people at each other, it's never gonna work out in your favor. Yeah. So I think, like, as easy, you bet it sounds easy, but it's tough, hard. It's tough. But truly listening to what they're saying to you, I know they're yelling at you in the moment. It's kind of hard. You kind of want to yell back, but listening to them, taking your time, responding back in a manner that's kind of appropriate and professional. Because you never, as a networking standpoint, you never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. Like, you yelling back at them, you starting a fight could ruin your chances at something else in the future. But like, at the same time, you sitting there, taking your time, being polite about it, de-escalating the situation, that could create an opportunity. Someone could see you and be like, oh, I want him on my team. He's a professional.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just to add to what you're saying, if someone sees you resolve conflict in a good way, and maybe let's just say the first time you didn't resolve in a good way, but now the second time you're in a situation, you change the way how you approach the situation, that also shows growth as well, right? So let's just say you did mess up. We all mess up with conflict, right? Especially like growing up when you're younger, and we're all relatively young right now, right? There's so much space to grow. There's so much space to improve, right? So you do have a little margin for error, right? But don't, take advantage of that, right? Yeah, so that's what I'll say there.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add one more thing is, I know we spoke about it, I think last week or so, but just putting your pride aside when it comes to stuff like that, because it's like, if you come yelling at me, I'm like, yo, is this guy dumb, dog? Exactly, like, do you know who I am type beat? And just based off of that, knowing that, my pride is at stake or my image is at stake, then I'm gonna do something out of character, right? So just always like putting your pride aside, be like, you're yelling at me, okay, but like I realized through yelling that maybe I did something, okay, like my fault, that wasn't my intention. It's hard to apologize sometimes, especially when it wasn't that's not what you meant. So it's like, why am I apologizing? That's not what I meant. But it's always important just to like, hear the person out, even though sometimes it's hard when like they want to fight you or something. Just hear the person out and just try to resolve it, just do that. So yeah,
and if you have to run, it's okay.
If you have to run, or if you have to leave the room, if you have to walk away from the situation, do it, bro.
Honestly, you guys hit the nail on top of the head. I'm just gonna sum up what every guy said. I feel like you guys take a deep breath, listen to the person, even if they're yelling. I feel like that's the best time to hear, because they're screaming loud, and then you could like, if you can take away the yelling and just hear the yelling, and it's like, okay, why is the person yelling? Okay, now the person yelling. Now you have an understanding of, okay, this person yelling about X. Let me come at the situation with Y. Like, okay, so let me try to de-escalate it. See that the situation not being de-escalated. So if it's not being de-escalated, just walk away, because at this point you're talking to a brick wall. And they're not hearing you. So back to like, I go to school for social service worker, and we're talking about a social service worker, and we're talking about listening, different type of listenings. So if I'm in a heated argument, they talked about defensive hearing. So if a person's not fully hearing you, I feel like the best thing to do is to walk away and then come back to the conversation. You guys calm down. Now you come at a neutral standpoint, and then there's no more yelling, and the person will be like, okay, I was talking about X, and then I'm arguing about Y, and then you guys just meet in the middle and then go from there. So I feel like you guys said, and everything that we're all saying the same thing. So yeah.
And in the end, it just makes you a much more valuable person, and you also feel more confident in yourself, knowing that like not everything is gonna cause you to blow up, right?
Well, thank you. Well, that was our episode, the Yute Room. Like I said, I'm your host, Cole.
I'm JJ.
You got Zeke over here.
And I'm Alex.
And until next time.